Marissa alone. Today's mug is courtesy of a friend of mine. It's got the quote, I never look back, darling. It distracts from the now. Edna Mode. So I love this. I think this is a really good mug today for our chat today with Melody Johnson. Melody is a course, no wait, I'm gonna get this wrong. What's your title?
Course consultant.
Course consultant. So we're carrying on. Maybe we'll do all courses all week. We'll just highlight this. I couldn't believe yesterday when I was looking at the stats. It's over $457 billion is the estimated worth of e-learning by 2026. Can you believe that number?
It's a really big number for sure.
Yeah, and they say that it's just growing. We've seen, of course, the last year where we have definitely relied on e-learning and these virtual kind of interactions and experiences as we couldn't do it in person. So Melody, welcome. Please give yourself an introduction and tell us exactly what you do and who you do it for.
Yes, well, thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to chat. As you said, my name is Melody. I'm the course consultant. I help online business owners, specifically small business owners, create and sell their training programs through organic social media marketing and email marketing, even if you have a small audience or a small email list. So I'm super excited to dive into all of our conversation today.
Yeah, and I love courses. I came from an e-learning background. I used to be a facilitator in person as well as online. And so I've always seen that there's a lot of value in this. Of course, I started in like 2006. So it's been a long time and the tools have definitely come a long way. Let me just say that. So I want to, who do you work with? What kind of businesses could actually put a course online?
Yeah, so I've worked with wonderful people throughout my time. And awesome thing about online courses is that there's no boundaries to creating an online course. You don't have to be a big time business. In fact, I worked with small business owners who are just running their own ship, people who are the only business owner. They don't have even a virtual assistant. And then I worked with larger organizations who have an entire agency helping them, and they have a marketing team to hire to do all of their marketing for them. So, the thing about online courses is it's accessible to anyone and everyone, even if you don't have a website. Now, I do recommend long-term to have a website, but the great thing about courses is that education is everywhere. It's just a question of where is your part inside of online education.
I love that. Yeah, I actually took an amazing course one time, and it was just a Google Docs. There were some folders. It was like day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. You went into each folder. There was an email that came out each day that kind of told you to go into that folder and what you would find into it. But it was fantastic. It was such a great, awesome. They just had taken care of accessibility. There was captions, there was transcriptions, there was videos, there was audios, everything in that. But it was a Google folder. So it really, from a cost perspective or from a delivery perspective, there was no barrier for someone to create that.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I want people to know, is that you can create something right from your Google Docs or even your Canva template library if you use Canva, and sell it really within 20 minutes. And the crazy thing about that is that you don't have to have a big budget. You don't have to hire a really big videographer. You don't even have to invest in Facebook advertisements. And in fact, my first course launch, I had less than 100 subscribers to my email list and made $100. Did I roll around like Scrooge McDuck money? No, but I mean, that's pretty good for, what I had at the moment. And it was pretty great because I had a really good connection with my people who are in my audience. And I got to see firsthand what they actually wanted and what they were willing to buy, instead of actually waiting until I had a big course and a big email list. It was great because they were founding members and they were able to give me the feedback right then and there.
Yeah, my first course was a vision board. It was a mixed media vision board class that I had already done in person a few times, but it literally was like my husband leaning over me so that I could show these mixed media techniques. And then I went to a conference and saw that they had built this wood kind of platform frame, and I could stick my phone flat over top while I did everything below. My husband was really excited because we were trying to rig things up with the cat tree. It wasn't pretty. Let me just say that. Now there's many tools to have like arms and booms to bring that out there. But, eight years ago, you kind of just did what you could until you learned better, but it was still good. And like you said, I sold, I think, I made $750 from it. It was enough that people came in, gave me some feedback, and then I could change it and keep going. And I loved it. And it was crafty, and it allowed me to show techniques and also to interact and get some experience too with how people could learn a tactical practice online when I wasn't there to necessarily show them.
Yeah, exactly. And, I think it's true that, any type of business owner who is willing to actually go and take the time to work and create a product and get feedback can implement on creating an online course. So I get sometimes people asking me, well, I'm not a B2B business. How can I create an online course? Will someone even buy it? And, I actually do have students who are artists. Some people are maybe like tarot card readers, or
Yeah.
they just have a really creative background. And the thing about online courses is that people are constantly learning anyways. And so if you give and deliver value and you ask for feedback, people are more likely to end up purchasing other things from you. And the great thing about that is, even if they're not able to buy something from you right away, you can still stay in their world. They can advocate for you and become a great word of mouth referral. So, and sometimes that's what happens. People go onto my website, they buy, and they're like, I heard about you from so and so. I'm like, oh, like that's awesome, and it's just great to have that kind of feedback right then and there.
So one thing you said was that you're starting to focus on small lists, small groups where you are selling that out. Why is that important to you?
Yeah. So, when people sometimes come to me, they come in to me in different stages. So maybe you are an entrepreneur who wants to create an online course or have a course that you've launched, but it didn't really go quite well before. And maybe you have a really small email list. Maybe you have less than 1,000 email subscribers. And if that's the case, I think getting in front of your audience is really where you're going to make the money. And it's not really about, hey, buy this thing, buy this thing, buy this thing. But if you're consistently sharing great, valuable, impactful content that has a clear, specific outcome, people will pay you for your knowledge. And so that's what I often find people don't always understand, is that when you are just pitching all the time to your small list, people are just going to run out like it's a burning building. You're going to get
Right.
unsubscribes. But if you're sharing with your audience, like let's say Facebook groups, let's say you go twice a week, Facebook Live, you share a how-to tip, and then maybe a live Q&A thread. And then through time, you'll see that those people who come to you back and again to comment, to like, to share your videos, those people will become customers, or likewise, they're going to share. And then once you launch your product, you have a good solid base of people through social media and also through your email list, so that you can launch that product again. It doesn't have to be perfect the first time. In fact, you can pre-sell your course, or you can pre-sell your program, and then you can actually iterate on that process and make that product better based off the feedback that you have. And social proof is so important, right? So like Facebook groups, you're going to see those like snapshots on a lot of sales pages. Oh, this person is great. I love this course. Where do you think they got that? It's because they had an engaged community on Facebook. It's because they had a connection with their audience. And it's actually sometimes even better to have a small list, especially if you're just starting and you're like, hey, I'm actually going to respond personally to your emails. And some people, if they have like millions of dollars in course revenue, they're probably not going to have time to, for the most part, respond to you personally with that kind of feedback. So give them that founding members experience, give them that VIP sort of time. And then, you can go on and increase your prices, make your course better, and also improve your customer lifetime value. And so that's the beauty of courses, that you can learn how to make it better and also generate sales longer over time as you improve it.
I love that. So I know some people have, well, I'm getting some feedback here. They've asked questions like, okay, well, if I have a course and I'm sharing, information, what am I giving away too much? Like, what's the, why would they buy a course for me if I'm sharing all of the things that I know? What do you say to them when they say that?
Yeah, this is a really great question. And I actually have talked and spoken with other people saying, I don't want to give away too much for free. Well, the number one thing is, I think that people want to know your framework, your unique selling proposition, or your USP, right? So, Marissa, you talk so much about all of the incredible things of running an online business. And yes, there are other people out there who are talking about similar things, but your structure, your framework, your offer is really what sets you apart from others. Likewise, when people go in to purchase a course from you, they're buying your experience, they're buying all of the blood, sweat, and tears that you've gone through to actually understand a system that works. And so if you are thinking nobody's going to buy because you're going to, quote, give it all away, really there's a lot of topics that have been talked about, but your specific framework, your uniqueness is what's going to get them to decide to purchase with you. And then the second thing is, if you want to protect yourself legally, I know there's some concerns, especially nowadays, things are online and digital, you can download it instantaneously. The
Yeah.
good thing, the best thing you want to do is create a terms and conditions checkbox or some sort of thing that you can add a disclaimer policy to your workbooks and your spreadsheets and anything you're sharing, so that when people actually access your content, you're really going to protect yourself. Now, I'm not illegal. I'm not giving you any sort of legal advice here,
Yeah.
but for sure, it is going to be helpful for you to look into some templates. And there's plenty of templates online for legal that you can look at to do that. And so I hope that that answers your question. So, if you are going to decide to send out all of your content and share it, there's a way to protect it and also know that what you're sharing is still unique to your audience.
I think it's also interesting. I really kind of realized the power of reiteration and aggregation too. And do you know who Mike Dooley is? He's the like notes from the universe guy he sends out.
Not familiar, but sounds
okay.
amazing.
So he sends it. He kind of has an interesting story. He was in The Secret and whatnot, but he sends out like there's like a weekly email and it's a note from the universe, and he has some manifestation stuff. But it was interesting because I read the books and then I was trying to tell somebody about this exercise that is actually like it's a manifestation exercise, but it's actually practical for business. Like it's rooted in practical business planning. And I was trying to explain to them, and I just Googled it, and I realized that on his website, every single story, every single exercise that are in his books is also available for free on his website. What are you paying for when you have a course or a book from him is the aggregation of it. It's the steps of it. It's the order of it. And, like this was several years ago when I realized this, I'm like, wow, yeah, he's not building something new. He's not afraid of giving away everything. People are still buying from him, but it's because he has made it accessible. People search for that because they hear about it or they heard him talk about it. Then they go find his website. So he's made it easy for them to find his website. He's easy for them to share with other people who then buy his books or his courses or whatever he offers. And I thought, yeah, don't worry about it, right? People will find you when you start sharing this information in different places as well.
Yeah, and like you said, I have a lot of free information. I have a podcast, YouTube channel. I go live on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Probably not too much on LinkedIn nowadays, but you can find so much of the content that I share for free on my website. And when other people say, okay, well, what happens if someone goes on your website and they find all this free information? Well, there's something to be said about being in the actual implementation stage. How can you support that implementation? So what's great about having tiers of services and or products is that you can provide that implementation support. So if you can have, I can help you with on-demand curriculum. You can do it and learn the step-by-step strategies, all the tips and all the tutorials. And then secondly, if you want to do it with me, I have an option for that. And then finally, I can do it for you if you offer that kind of program. And so the great thing about knowing exactly what people need, I think that really comes from diving deep into, I am sitting here with you in the flesh and I'm saying, hey, what can I help you with? What questions do you have? Knowing what your customer wants, knowing what the pain points are, and understanding how can I actually give them the easiest tool to implement and see the result as quickly as we can. And I'm a firm believer in, knowledge and acquisition of knowledge, but also there's something to be said about doing it together. And I think one great thing about courses is that you can have those tiers of support within your own service packages.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I offer free, they're pay what you can, but you can definitely sign up for the free option.
Totally.
By freeze. I might have froze.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's cool, because if you do that kind of implementation where you're saying, hey, if you want to pay what you can, here's this power hour, and sometimes I've also done it where I say, if you join my program, you can also access a free onboarding call, so it's not just, hey, here's this separate service, here's this separate course or program. It's, hey, I've got this program. You may also want to enjoy a complimentary 30-minute consultation session, or have some sort of other way to participate in helping gain that support. So, lots of different ways to use that. Actually, one way that I use courses is I actually put them on side of my proposals. And so recently I've actually added my courses as another additional benefit of working with me. So if someone books my service, they get access to my courses. Vice versa, if someone joins a course or a program that I have, I also will give them access to a discount coupon code to my services, or a discount coupon code on another course that I'm running, so giving people different options is definitely something that you can play around with. So lots of different ways to play around with courses. And I just forgot to mention that Honeybook is what I use for creating proposals. And so if anyone's curious about Honeybook and how to add courses, it's super simple. I'd be happy to share a little technique and strategy that I use. Hello.
I knew it. I gave you, and you did a fantastic job. I was like, my internet, there's just something going on.
It happens.
And that's the thing, and that's an interesting thing to think about too, is if you are offering a live component, I know we're going to talk about this a bit, but it's like a live component in your course, have backups, have things that you can tell people. I told Melody ahead of time, my internet sucks, but you're going to still be live. And so if all of a sudden I disappear, keep talking. And so I think that's one of the best things we can do as a business owner, is to have a plan B when things may or may not work. And it's okay, right? The first time you deliver your course, if something like that happens, you just let people know and you keep moving on.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, there's a element of learning, right? And so I work with lots of perfectionists, and everyone's like, well, I'm not done, it's not perfect, I need to add that 5 more extra PDFs, and I need to add this, and I need to add that. And I'm like, look, I want you to use the minimum viable product, right? Get your ideas out there quickly, pre-sell it, go into the smallest win that this will help with. And I break it down, right? So if you think about courses, they're not just, hey, here's a product, like I'm going to Target, I'm going to buy this product. It's more of, how can this actually help me? What's that transformation at the other end? What is this going to save me? Time? Is it going to save me money? Is it going to save me my personal mental clarity? How is it going to help me? And what's the quickest win that I can get? And so when I actually work with my clients, I actually break it down. And you asked Marissa, like, what was the process of, going through a live component? Breaking it down into small bite-sized chunk is really important. We're busy, we're on our phones, we don't have time. How can we make it easier for people to implement? Not, let's go into this 1-hour strategy session and talk about these abstract concepts, right? People want upfront information, easy to use information, so that they can plug it into their lives and plug it into their businesses. So yes.
Yeah. And that's one of the best things you can do for your course, is if they can implement as they go, because they're more likely to keep with the content. They're more likely to stick with it, and then tell other people about it, which is really what you want to do in your business.
Yeah. So like, for instance, for Facebook groups, I actually am running a live round of one of my programs. And I know that with creating live rounds, you have an element of support. So right now, with the element of support, I offer co-working calls. I'm also offering audits on sales pages, copy, etc. And then inside of my Facebook group, I actually had scheduled out curriculum threads. So for instance, what that looks like is, okay, week 1, we're going to focus just on the content, right? Like, what's going to go inside of this course offer? How do you know if that offer is going to be profitable? Are you going to make money from this, right? Because we all, as business owners, want to make money. The second thing I would then do is facilitate any sorts of questions, and then provide a specific tip or a specific template. So for instance, my course creator starter outline, which is something that I offer for free for anyone who's interested. That is something that I help them to organize their ideas. So people, would then implement on that. So then they would actually get the tool. Then we'd go on a co-working call and go, what questions do you have about this? What things are you going through? And actually, it was really fun. I had a student who's actually a cross stitcher. And so her course is all about cross stitching.
I love it.
Yeah, and so it was really fun because we actually sat down and we were talking about, what kinds of videos could she do? Could she run some of it live where she's recording and then go back and maybe make some edits, more polished videos in the future? So that was really fun for me because there's another challenge because I do get a lot of, business courses where I work with business owners. But it's always fun for me when I find something that's really unique. Like I've never seen a cross stitch class before. And so it was so fun to pick her brain and see how the modules were just getting written right in front of our eyes. And as she started seeing, wow, this is doable, I can actually see myself launching this. She had a good sales page written. I just gave her some recommendations. And then now I'm super excited for her to launch, and it's going to happen before the end of the month. So it's really great to have that kind of support, and of course, everyone has different abilities to provide service like that. And so if you're thinking about, I've never created an online course before, I know you had another speaker before talk about providing it live. I think there's something really great about that. I totally agree. And then after that, you have that on-demand support. You can just give people the access to it. And then eventually, if you want to do it again live, that's another support. So having that facilitation in a private Facebook group is so great, and dripping out the support threads and Q&A threads also gives you insight on what things you can add to help that impact grow and get more results, get better testimonials, and eventually make more sales.
Yeah, I love that. So how long do you say, like when someone says to me, I have a course, how long is it going to take? What do you say for how long it takes to build a course?
Yeah, so I think, it depends on the scope of the course. So if you're just starting with a brand new course, I say go small and do it fast. And I like to call that my mini launch. And so with mini launches, I believe that you can do it in less than a month. Actually, I think you can do it a lot faster than that. Like for me, I can probably launch something within a week. But some people aren't at that stage yet where they can't launch it in that week. So if you want to go in and if you want to create that course or that template or that quick swipe file, like you were saying, just something from Google Drive, definitely I think you can sell it within a week or at most the month. If it's something bigger where you've got a bigger budget, you want to go big with affiliates, you want to have kind of a higher price program, then that's going to take a little bit longer, probably anywhere between 1 to 3 months, depending
Mhm.
on how big of a launch you're planning. I know people who say that they have a course and they put it together and they have a launch period of warm-ups for 6 months. So they don't promote anything to their list for 6 months until this course is launched. And that's actually on the extreme side. So I don't actually normally do that. I launch stuff all the time. But I think in general, go small when you're just starting, sell from Canva, sell from Google, get that feedback, and then decide on if you want to create a bigger signature course or a bigger signature program. And that may be between 1 to 3 months, depending on the scope of that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a perfectionist, so I will record an audio 30,000 times just so that there's no, perfect audio. And I also am the kind of that person that lets to let things percolate a little bit. So I might come out with an additional idea, go out to some focus groups, put it out there, give it a week or so, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh wait, there's something even better I have to go through. And I hate it because I want to just be able to whip things. I can whip it out like really quickly, but I know that I do my best work when I give it some time. For my profit plan, I offered it as a free kind of like list builder for 3 years before I turned it into a program. But it was great because I offered it twice a year. It was a list builder, but I was able to test it out completely and, figure out what was a better way of delivering the content and different ways that people needed to consume it. And then I was able to put it out. That's okay too.
Mhm. Yeah, I think you really have to decide on what it's going to fit you and your personality. So,
Mhm.
when I first started my course, I think like my first course, I am also a perfectionist. I had thankfully a deadline that I had to hit for my master's program as part of my final
Nice.
project. And so
Yeah.
that was pretty much like 4 years in the making.
Yeah.
I don't even really sell that course anymore just because as I was receiving feedback, because I did a live round with that program, I was hearing from people, I need this, I need this, I need
Yeah.
this. And so after hearing that, I was starting to see, okay, I need to change this. I need to update this. And I was like, okay, this is a whole new program. So I ended up making probably two more iterations of kind of sections of that until finally with this one, after like I want to say 2 years, well, year and a half, I feel like now it's solid because I know what people struggle with, I know what they want, and I know what I can get them to that result fast. And so when you look at other people and you're thinking, oh yeah, you know what, it's so shiny, right? Like I see this beautiful sales page, that Facebook ad looks so perfect. Like how did they put together this beautiful course? Oh, they did lots of workshopping it. Like you were saying, they probably asked their customer a million questions and then they actually started implementing and updating. And just recently I saw one of the people that I follow online, she went through a whole redo of her big program and spent like $26,000 on updating it, the materials. And so you don't have to do it right away where it's perfect, but there are these stages, these iterations, which is beautiful.
Mhm.
You're constantly hearing for that feedback and implementing. And just the same like in corporate, when you have a project, there is a end date to a project, but truthfully, there's always improvements that you can make, and that's the beauty of a live product. It's great because you do get passive income, but there is work up front that you do, and then you can update it, then you can increase the price, then you can add more bells and whistles and all that fancy stuff. So lots of great thoughts that you had there, and I love that you kind of thought through that and gave that as a list building option. I think that's awesome.
It was actually a list building option for another program I have. It was just a way, and then it just kind of, I saw like, I'm like, oh wow, people are actually creating incredible changes in their business with just this free challenge. So I was like, maybe I should just flesh it out and have it be its own thing. And I love what you just said. So how long had that person, you just said somebody you follow, just had like a 26K revamp? How long have they been offering that particular course? Do you know?
I don't know how long. Probably I want probably just looking back, after I've been following them, probably maybe for like a year or 2 years. Um,
Okay.
and so they have had it there for a while. But yeah, I think with that and everything that people do with programs, it's so important to kind of look and review the numbers and the revenue, and you do a great job with your programs, or you can look at the revenue. Okay, if sales are something that's a concern for you, then look where's the money coming in, why are
Mhm.
people buying, why aren't people buying certain programs, because I'm
Mhm.
constantly thinking of new things, and sometimes I think about too many good ideas and I'm like, which
Mhm.
one should I go with? So it's good to think about, where's this revenue coming from, why is that the highest performing product, and then do a kind of analysis of, okay, well, if I want to have a revenue goal for this quarter or this month, right? Let's look at the percentage of income I receive from this product versus that product and see which
Yes.
revenue was higher. It
Yeah.
could be that, your marketing needs a tweak, or maybe
Yep.
it's actually that the offer isn't what people need or want. You know what it is, and you might see the value in it, but it's about the perception of the customer. Like, what is it that they want? And so, the wonderful thing about having the ability to change the projects you're working with as a course creator is that you can actually ask people and then you can iterate on a new project, and it doesn't have to be constantly like, I'm stuck with this course, this is for my forever course, this is my
No.
signature course or
No.
program, stuck
Yeah.
with it. Like you can go in and change it, and like right now that's kind of where I'm at, looking at what is the highest producing profit generator, and then also like which one do I actually love running. Like I love running the digital product toolkit. Like the other courses I've run before, I'm like, it's okay, like I know how to do it, but I really enjoy it. And that's the great thing, is as a course creator, you can say, if you find the most joy and the most revenue, you found like a beautiful magic rainbow, and hold on to that rainbow.
Yeah, and I love that too, because like if you find something that you like and you can do it over and over again and it's a good revenue, it allows you to have that base, that safety net to try something that's a little more experimental or that gives you a little bit more time to develop a different project so that you're not kind of in hustle mode all the time. You're actually in that creative space where you give yourself that ability. But because you love doing the one thing, it's not as hard, right? Because you're just like, I can show up, I can be in my best element, I can run this live, but I can still also do other things. Whereas if it's something that you're kind of like dragging your boots on, even marketing, it just doesn't even, you're like, oh, I can put this out. It shows.
This thing again. Oh.
Like, you know, people like, I mean, people know, somebody the other day said something like, oh, well, you know, Marissa, she really loves talking about profit. And I'm like, I really do love talking about profit. Like, I could talk about how you can create profit and deconstruct capitalism at the same time, you know, and I love doing that. And so it shows in that, right? Because when I talk about profit, then people are like, wow, I really want to fall in love with profit like Marissa does. And it's like, yes, come in. It shows. But if I'm trying to sell something, like I'm trying to get like something that I would hate selling, like how to buy a used car, I'm not going to be talking about how much I love, because I don't love it, you know, and it'll show in my marketing. And it'll be a struggle when I'm trying to build other things because I'm trying to push out that one thing all the time. Now, I want to ask you another question because you said something that jogged. So the whole idea about a signature program, how do you feel about it?
So, you know, I think that for some people, it really works. You know, there are people out there who have been around the online space for a while. You know, you have DCA, Digital Course Academy, you have Maria Forleo's program, and there's countless others that I could name at the drop of a hat. But I think for me, I am an ideas person, and the idea of feeling restricted to one program that has one outcome, it didn't really match my personality. And I'm not saying it's wrong or it's right. I think for me personally, it just wasn't something I wanted to do. And I really had to sit down and look at, what am I good at? What do I enjoy doing? And what is making me money? And so as I sat down and I looked at it, I actually saw that it wasn't creating this one-time signature program. In fact, I found that I was enjoying creating some core offers and then in deciding which offer was best and then really running with that. I do think there's something to said about like a signature like service. I know some people also have signature services, and I think that you can supplement it with like a program and say, hey, I was kind of chatting with this a little bit when I lost you, but you know, I have on Honeybook, when I do proposals, I add in my signature core courses. And I say, if you want to work with me, you also get access to this, you know, it's an additional support. So to me personally, I don't feel like signature courses have worked for me. That being said, I know that there's plenty of successful online entrepreneurs that signature courses work very well for. I'm personally of the belief that you have to find something that you like and enjoy, and that also produces your revenue. And so if you find that and that is a signature course, go for it. It wasn't for me, but that doesn't mean it's not for you. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I look at it, I always will say like it's cheaper to and more efficient to sell to people who already love what you do. And if you've done a great job with one course, they might want to have other courses. We've seen people like Amy Porterfield do that, right? She's got a course on just about anything you could possibly imagine. And if she doesn't, she's an affiliate for other people who do, right? So it becomes this kind of mix of products and services. People will get used to you coming for that area because you've got something, right? So even if you pivot and you've got marketing your courses as an offshoot, or marketing to your courses to a small list, you've got your central brand of the course, but people are looking to add all of those additional things to their repertoire. Why should they go somewhere else if they like the way that you deliver it? To me, that's leaving money on the table. You're right, though. It works for some people. It's not for me. It's really what you get to do with your business is for me, I always say to my clients, I don't care what you do in your business because it's your business. It has to work for you. But I'm of the camp of like, explore, be creative, find different ways for your audience that you've worked really hard to establish, and connect with to keep buying from you. To me, always trying to find new people to take that signature course would be exhausting.
Yeah, and because then you're like constantly trying to attract new people. It's like for me personally, I totally agree with you. And this is what one of my mentors has actually said is, why are you constantly trying to sell people to who haven't actually purchased anything from you before? You're constantly looking for new quote unquote leads or customers. You have a base of customers who have purchased from you, like what you do. And if you offer them something, they have the opportunity to buy. And I think, for people who are maybe newer to email marketing, it's scary to say, okay, well, I'm going to do something new. I haven't proven that this has, quote, a valuable offer or like a proven offer or whatever. But the truth is, you can use the successes of your past and say, okay, I've used this with my one-on-one clients, right? If you're a service-based business owner, or I use this exact framework in my other courses or my other programs. Like, so just because it's a new offer, just because it's something different, it's slightly on the same subject, doesn't mean that someone won't buy. So I think you're right. Give people the opportunity to buy. If they purchased from you before, they're most likely going to purchase. And if they don't, maybe, switch up your offers. Maybe there's something else that didn't quite land with your copy. So changing things up is always something I recommend. And, hiring other people too. I've hired copy coaches and, look at evergreen funnels and what's working, what's not working. And then just generally feeling it out, right? Like, there was a time earlier in the year where, like you were saying, I was not in the mood to sell anything. I was just like, I want to stick with my customers, follow them on this journey and support them, just because there was some personal things that I was going through. But it's always good to kind of sit down and look at the numbers, look at your honest like headspace, like, because that's something that we don't talk about a lot as entrepreneurs, and say like, what can I feasibly do to keep this ship running without like tearing me down, and sometimes you do need to take a break from launching, reevaluate.
You do. I was talking to a mutual friend of ours, Stacy, the operator, yesterday, about like how really you shouldn't be running your own launches anyways. It's like, give it to someone who can, do all of the connect the dots and all that, and then you can just go out there and talk about your product and be, or be that customer service part, like, do the part that you like, because it can be exhausting doing all the parts yourself. And we don't talk about headspace enough. And sometimes you've got this whole plan. I was going to do a live iteration of the profit plan last month, and it's just like, we've got some, my husband's in surgery right now. Like there's, there's all these kind of leads up and things that we need to do. And it's just like, it's not the right time. But as business owners, we can do that. We have to structure our business to be able to give us that time off. We never know when a loved one's going to be ill. We never know when we're going to be sick. If we can start building these income streams into our business, and a course can do that, because really you can set up ads, you can set up you can hire someone to do social media, you can do all this kind of stuff, and people can come in and take a course that has no live component, and you're able to still create income in your business.
Yeah, and I will share something personally with you, is that actually earlier in January, in February, I had to take a break from launching, because I had a family member who was mentally ill. And actually, I was not in a headspace that I could deliver. And so I basically told my students, because at the time it was such a touchy thing for me, like I wasn't ready to open up yet.
Yeah.
And I said like, hey, I have some personal things. I'm here to deliver and support you, but just know that I'm going to be slower to respond to emails. I'm not going to be as active in my social media, for the next foreseeable weeks. I added extra time at the end of a live round because I knew that I just needed time. And that was hard. That was super hard, right? Like, cause I go, okay, shoot, you know what? I had this idea I was going to run, but I couldn't. I just literally, I had to sit there. I had to go, for me, like I pray or whatever. But, if you want to meditate or like listen to a calming app or do meditations or read tarot cards, whatever you need to do, just do it to get through it. And, I talked with friends and they were super helpful. And they just said, just ask me how tell me how you're doing. if there's anything I can do. And so that is the great thing. I did have income still come in from courses that was able to kind of carry me through. And honestly, the people that I attract are so awesome. Like, I saw really amazing like comments, like so supportive about, what I was dealing with. And eventually I was able to get over it, had some, mental health counseling and things like that. And people don't always talk about that. They're always like smiling and happy and shiny, but it's like the truth is you're going to have moments in your business and during the year when you're not feeling shiny and wonderful. You're feeling like yucky and like everything is dragging, and it's okay. Like, it's genuinely okay. You're a human being. You have emotions. It's okay to acknowledge that they're there. But it's about like, what can we do to set up this structure for our business that allows us to have those like seasons, so we're not constantly feeling like, I got to make more sales. I got to make more sales. How am I going to make ends meet? Because that can be really scary.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting when we look at business owners and small business owners in particular, is that they've got a lot of rules, they've got a lot of responsibilities, and because we don't talk about mental health, we don't talk about physical health and all that kind of stuff, like everything's such a shiny, like everything's perfect. It sets up this expectation in your audience that you are always going to be able to deliver on time. And sometimes you just can't. And so it's being able to be upfront and be like, as business owners, things happen, best laid plans, right? And it's like being able to move that, but knowing and planning for it and being able to have the communication structures in place so that you can communicate that is amazing, because it's just going to take a bigger load off of you. Sometimes we don't want to admit that we're struggling, but who are we really hurting in the long run when we aren't honest and we're not saying, you know what, we're going to add on an extra week after, I just need to take this week off and have a moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it will help people see that you're a human, right? Like, so many times we feel separated, like there's this weird barrier between us, like that other person is
Mm-hmm.
not a real person, it's just some guru talking to us. But it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I have mental health problems. I'm pretty open about it. I have things that I've had to deal with that I have had to overcome. I haven't always had a lot of success in certain parts of, like, what happens with my first launch. My first launch wasn't like $1 million. That's okay. You know what,
Yeah.
maybe I had an offer that didn't go right. You're so much more relatable to people when you say, hey, I'm a human, I have things that happen, and guess what, you have things that happen too. I had a client who I was meeting with recently, and she said, I wanted to launch this course, but I had something happen to me earlier this year. I was going through some stuff, and I feel disappointed in myself that I wasn't able to deliver it at the time that I wanted to, right? So we set all
Mm-hmm.
these internal goals, and when we actually do that, and we don't reach those goals, we feel disappointed in ourselves. But who are we to actually judge ourselves when, if you were a friend, you would say, hey, it's all good. Don't worry about it. It's okay. And likewise, I would say to anyone who's a coach or a consultant or an online course creator, it's okay to have those seasons where you are able to give yourself grace and have those systems, and hire other people if you need to be able to take that time to process whatever you're going through. Because like you said, there are going to be times, if you're not doing that, your marketing is not going to be on top. And on top of that, you're going to feel so terrible. Like, you're not going to feel like great. And that kind of transformation, that kind of customer support that people were hoping to get from you, it's not going to be the level that you want to deliver. And so just give yourself a break and come back to it. Doesn't mean you're quitting. It just means you're putting things on pause so you can go out and take care of what you need to do the next project.
I love that. Okay, so that leads me into my questions here, and we've already touched about it, but what's an obstacle that you have right now in your business?
Yeah, Facebook ads has been just really kicking me in the butt recently. So I recently started doing some lead gen ads with Facebook and tried to do a couple of different advertisements. And that's been hard. I think what I've been refocusing my efforts on is organic audience growing my email list and doing a lot more organic audience building. And so,
Yeah.
it is more expensive nowadays to actually market on Facebook. It does work, but you do have to have some budget for it. Um, and certain types of ads will cost more due to the iOS update. So that has been really frustrating for me with this new Facebook ads update, because before it was not this expensive. And also it did have a higher ability to convert in some ways. So I guess that is one kind of challenge I'm trying to overcome right now.
Yeah, I hear you. I like when I first started my business, I was on Google and Facebook, and I've really backed away over the last year or so because yeah, the cost and just conversion and trying to figure out, like which keyword, like Google, I actually am kind of leaning back more into now because I forgot how much I love finding these long tail keywords that other people are not bidding on, and you finding this really cool niche out there. But like Facebook, you're really like, I just find it's kind of like this kind of guessing game right now where you're constantly playing a science experiment. Unless you have a budget to do that, it's not worth it. And I always recommend don't even do cold Facebook right now. Do only retargeting, do only, where you have a warm audience and they've already hit some part of it and you're delivering the next step for them, because otherwise it's like spaghetti up against a wall right now with some of these updates. Or if you have a Facebook ads, and I haven't found a really good one that I love. Maybe I will next year, but it's hard because that person has to keep up to date on so many things. Like that's really all they can do is Facebook ads now. It used to be that you could find somebody that kind of did a whole bunch, but I think with all of their updates that they've got coming out, it has to be a specialist. So maybe out there someone will say, hey, I'm that Facebook person, and then I'll take both of our, it'll be a help to both of ours. But what is an opportunity that you have in your business that you're excited about?
Yeah, totally hear you on the Facebook thing, and we can definitely chat about that some other time. But I definitely would love people to check out my free resource called the Course Creator Starter Outline. It is a Google Sheets document. I work with my clients to fill it out and create and organize their ideas in 50% less time. So if you are thinking about launching a new course or program, you have a group program, or you want to create a program, this is the perfect template to do that. It's completely free. I will give that link to you and you can share it. So I'd love for people to check that out. And I also would love for people to check out my channel at thecourseconsultant.com. I'm on YouTube and also on my podcast, The Course Consultant Show. So super excited to see people join and learn more about creating courses.
Yeah, and we'll cross-link that. It'll be in the comments afterwards, especially on YouTube, so that people can find your channel really easily. Melody, I want to thank you very much. I know you and I could probably keep talking forever. I've been trying to keep these somewhat digestible and, these little bite-sized bits. So please do come back, especially after I know that you've just teasing me a little bit with a slight pivot in your business. And so we're going to want to hear more about that when everything is all put together, and then we can chat more. But do come back to Big Questions Medium Coffee, because I know you and I can talk forever. And you can always find Melanie and I are often on Clubhouse too. Like those are those impromptu conversations where we suddenly have talking about profit and pricing and courses and all the fun stuff that we all like to talk about, that we get excited about, that other people are like, what are they even talking about? And we're just like, here's how you can price your course so that it makes you money and doesn't exhaust you. And all those fun conversations that I know you and I can have together. So thank you again so much for being here. I'm going to stop the live. Thanks everybody for coming. And if you're watching the replay, let us know. Bye everybody. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.